I know that you talk a lot about neuroplasticity. I know you talk a lot about brain shrinkage.
Yep.
Can you, for the folks who are unfamiliar with those terms, those concepts, and how they relate to folks who are in active recovery, and then ultimately, folks who have been in addiction, how does that affect everyone in this space?
Sure. So neuroplasticity refers to your brain's ability to make new neurons and new connections. It refers to your brain's ability to adapt, to learn, and to heal after some kind of injury. And what we see when people have been drinking, even after a night of drinking, is that your brain will shrink. The alcohol dehydrates you, and it dehydrates the cells in your brain, and as a result, your brain shrinks when you get tipsy and when you get drunk. Now, if you're somebody who just did a night of drinking one time, and then the next day you're resting, you're hydrating, you're giving your brain everything that it needs, it will plump back up. But if you're somebody who is constantly drinking, what happens is that your brain starts to shrink on a bit more of a permanent basis if that's all you're going to be doing.
Mm,
And so we call that cerebral atrophy. Now, your brain is capable of a tremendous amount of healing. Your brain can heal days, months, even years after injury, as long as you're taking away the thing that hurt your brain to begin with, and you start doing the things that your brain truly needs in order to heal. And
mhm.
so, when we talk about people that experience addiction, their brains are capable of healing. Depending on the level of addiction, maybe it doesn't go back to a 100%
I've
healthy brain,
Yeah,
right?
right.
But it can continue to heal and get better. But that lies within the person's own ability. That's within our control.
Mm. When I first came across your work and that really stood out to me, I was like, gosh, I started drinking when I was 13, 14 years old. And even though at periods of my life it was social, anytime you do anything for that period of time, obviously there's no moderation there, right? And it became an issue for me. I was like, man, I hope that my brain hasn't shrunk to a point where I can't reconcile and bring it back to a proper like functional space. What are some of the things, if I'm not already doing them,
Yep.
should I be looking at? I mean, I'm now 3 years in here, in my sobriety, but what are some of the things that I should be looking at to help plump my brain back up, so to speak, like get it to a place where I can feel proud about the journey that I've been on. I am curious for folks who are in my position, what they can they look at on their healing journey.
So exercise is probably the biggest promoter of neuroplasticity.
Okay,
Exercises causes the release of brain-derived neurotrophic factor or BDNF.
like
Uh,
any type of exercise, like strength training,
Strength
aerobic.
training, aerobic, something that combines the two is ideal. But if you're somebody who just loves dancing, find a way to dance 3 or 4 times a week. You don't necessarily need to be in a gym pushing heavy weight, although
Hmm.
there's significant neurological benefits to pushing weight. Right? As you put on muscle, it releases myokines, chemicals that are powerful antidepressants, anti-anxiety, promote neuroplasticity. So there are certainly real neurological benefits to pushing weight, but at least get your body moving. When we live sedentary lifestyles, our brains
Hmm.
shrink. Like we need to be moving, we need to be physically active. And so, if you're somebody in your healing journey, you've got to have an exercise program that you follow. I tell this to doctors, I tell this to patients. Every therapeutic regimen you come up with, I don't care if the person you're putting the person on medication for whatever, there needs to be an exercise program that goes along with that. You've got to get that person stronger, right? The other thing I would say is you got to be mindful of what you're actually feeding your body.
Hmm.
The foods that we eat have a tremendous impact on our physical health, our mental health, and our neurological health. And so, if we're eating to that point where we are bloated, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's inflammation. That inflammation doesn't just stay in the gut. That inflammation also travels to your brain, right? And that can cause a lot of different types of neurological symptoms. The way that we eat today is not the way that our bodies were designed to consume food. Today, you don't put any work into eating, right? Like
Yeah.
you can have anything delivered, you can have anything door dashed, you can have your groceries. You put no work, no effort. You don't have to chase, pray, nothing. We have sugar readily available all the time in incredibly high quantities that is horrendous for your brain. Your brain on sugar is essentially dementia. It's essentially Alzheimer's disease,
Hmm.
right? So we've
Jeez.
got to be very mindful about the foods that we're taking in. We have to constantly be learning. I've got two sons, 13 and 11. My 13-year-old just graduated from middle school. And one of the things I've always told my kids is that commencement in French, right, is commence.
Come on.
It's the
Yeah.
beginning. Your real learning starts the day that you finish with school, the day that you graduate. Right? Learning is a lifelong process, and learning is a powerful promoter of neuroplasticity as well.
Hmm.
You've got to take time to relax. You've got to take time to distance yourself from all the noise and chaos that society offers. You got to do that through meditation or prayer. We know that people who meditate or pray 15 to 20 minutes a day, their brains look different than people who don't. Their brains look healthier. There are areas of the brain that are plumper, juicier, that have more neurons in it. And so there are things every single day on any healing journey that you should be doing to help your brain be as healthy as possible.
Well, thank you for that, because that makes me feel a lot better about the activities that I do in my own life. And I knew that they made me feel great. And a lot of these activities that I do, meditation, physical fitness, trying to pay attention to my diet, I know that it makes me feel fantastic, but I didn't know that there was a direct correlation to it being able to heal, my one of my very important organs,
Yeah.
in the brain. So I appreciate
And
that.
and sleep is another one. We've got to get 6 to 8 hours of sleep every single night. So
Yeah.
that's a big one too.
I appreciate you guys listening to the Stacking Days podcast. I hope this episode added value to your recovery and wellness journey. Before we go our separate ways, let's connect on social. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram at Stacking Days, or via the website www.stackingdays.com. By supporting the show, you can play a direct role in amplifying people of color in their pursuit of recovery. The easiest way to do that is to subscribe or hit the follow button. This way, you'll never miss an episode, all while playing an active part in creating the ecosystem where diverse voices in healing matter. This show is for the purpose of education and connection and is not a replacement for therapy or recovery care. For more information on the resources and support available, take a look at SAMHSA and some other resources shared in the description. Until we meet again, be well, one day at a time.